Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Masi, or Maisie. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It'll be pretty much any type of video, review, topic, reaction, commentary, video game let's try, playthrough, whatever case. And sorry if I'm butchering your name, but they wanted me to talk about The Mexican from 2001. Which is a film I had heard of because this is going to be a tangent. Back in the day when DVDs were becoming a fairly new thing, there's a magazine, I want to say it was called Total Film, and they had these, it was a magazine, but when you bought it, there was a DVD that would come along with it, like a sampler DVD. And because of the sampler DVDs, you could pop it in, it would show some trailers, it would show some short films, perhaps, or like little short films. It would talk about like what's coming out. The best way I'd call is DVD samplers. And let me see, this is what it looked like. Now this is, yeah, Total Film. So it looked like these. There you go. I don't know if that was all of them, but I think one of them had the trailer to the Mexican on it, because this was like 2000, 2001. And so that's the, it was like a fun novelty. It gave more incentive to buy the magazine. Even if you just flip through the magazine, it's like, wow, you got a DVD and you could check all this stuff out. So I first saw the trailer on one of those, but I just never, for some reason, never bothered to check it out. I don't know why. Maybe because just never came up. The opportunity never came up until now. And I didn't realize it was directed by Gore Verbinski. So he directed Mouse Hunt, then he directed this movie, then he directed the remake of The Ring, and then he directed the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's a very kind of weird set of films to start your career with. Like a movie about hunting a mouse, and then a movie, bigger budget with Julia Roberts. You got Brad Pitt, you got James Gandolfini, J.K. Simmons, Gene Hackman is in it in a small part. Bob Balaban, who I remember from 2010, the year we made contact. David Krumholtz, who I remember he was in some of the Harold and Kumar movies, among others. Then again, a remake of a horror film, The Rain. Then a big Disney Pirates film that became a huge franchise for Johnny Depp and company. So, yeah. Because they're all pretty different movies. There's not like, it's like here's a family film, then here's this, then here's a horror film, then. Now, the setup of the film is Brad Pitt is working for this criminal head honcho who's in jail. The reason he's in jail is that Brad Pitt was not paying attention to the road. He crashed through the guy's car. The cops came by. The cops see that someone else is in this guy's trunk. Now, we don't see all this. We hear about this later. And then that's what gets this head honcho criminal guy put in jail. And then he's like, well, since I'm in jail, you don't work for me. Since I'm here for 5 or so years, you don't work for me. So Brad Pitt's been doing these jobs. His girlfriend's Julia Roberts, but things aren't working out the best. Julia, I guess they went to counseling. They argue. They use all this terminology. Like, are you blame shifting me? Huh? You blame shifting me? Now, granted, I'm sitting there going, Julia Roberts, you're mad that he's got to do something to keep alive, and you're still mad about it? Kind of makes me not care about Julia Roberts' character. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't like Julia Roberts at all, so if that's the case, this might not appeal to you. I don't mind Julie Roberts. I liked her. I liked her in The Pelican Brief. Don't mind her in America's Sweethearts, among other movies. She's someone that has pretty much disappeared, as in you never hear of her before. Like there was a time she was like the biggest, most popular actress. Pretty Woman, Sleeping with the Enemy. She was in Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson, Notting Hill. But she's definitely been kept herself under the radar. I mean, I don't even remember the last thing she did. Aaron Brockovich was like 2000 or so. So yeah, I don't know what she's done lately. I I think she was in a film with Tom Hanks. Maybe that was it. Yeah, I can't remember, but I just in a weird way is refreshing that she kind of stayed out of the public light, and I don't remember hearing her like making waves politically or stuff. I mean, maybe this is for the smarter decision, you know. Because now I'm thinking, whatever happened to Julie Roberts? That gives me was a certain sense of intrigue. But like I said, I never hated her. I always thought she was a good actress. I like Brad Pitt. The character he plays kind of feels like a predecessor to what he would play in Bullet Train. Now, granted, I would say I like Bullet Train a lot more than this, and I like his performance in Bullet Train a lot more than this. But in a weird way, you almost say like with his character, there's like a precursor to Bullet Train, where they both have the worst of luck. They're both like affable and a little bit goofy, but they're in way over their head. I just in a weird way, maybe if you rework some things, you think this is a prequel to Bullet Train, where after it, him and Julia split up, and then he does his own thing, and then changes his name and all this stuff. But anyway, he's given the job to go to Mexico to get this pistol, and the pistol is called the Mexican. So he goes to Mexico. Julia Roberts is mad about that, so she's going to go to Vegas. And then for most of the film, they're separated. Most of the film, they're not together until the third act. And maybe some people would be a bit taken aback by that. Because the way you look at the posters, some of the marketing, it seems like, oh, it's these two big stars and they're going to be together. They're going to go through this adventure. Maybe like a Mexican version or, Romancing the Stone or something like that. No, not the case. It's kind of just like two movies happen at the same time. You have Brad Pitt's movie in Mexico where he gets into El Camino, he almost hits another vehicle, he gets this gun, he hears about the story. Seems like each time he hears about the story, there's little differences in between each one. And all these bad events keep happening. People are celebrating a stray bullet kills David Krumholtz. Brad Pitt doesn't realize it until it's too late, and then there's blood in his car. Then he's trying to figure out what to do, and his car gets stolen. So he's got to go find that. Meanwhile, Julie Roberts, she gets accosted in the bathroom by one guy. Another guy shoots that guy, and that guy is James Gandolfini, who's like, I've been hired to kidnap you, and I'm here to keep you company. We're going to go to Vegas, and we're going to keep you company so that Brad Pitt, he does things the right way, and there's no issues, no problems. James Gandolfini, the reason I paused, he is the best part of this movie. He is the best part of this film. The best. Because I do think the film runs out of steam at times. It's over 2 hours. Gore Verbinski, even here, back then, he does not know what an editor is. I like Gore Verbinski. I liked Mouse Hunt. I did not mind this film. Overall, I liked it. I did enjoy the Ring remake. I liked the first Pirates of the Caribbean. But well, maybe not Mouse Hunt, but all these others, like, you could. I think the Ring remake was 2 hours or a little over 2 hours. So there are things you can edit. This guy, and it would get worse. I like the Cure for Wellness he did later. The one of the big issues is it does not need to be that long. So I do think this guy has never learned the ideal way of pacing a movie. I do think that's been a common problem. His the biggest one was The Lone Ranger when he did that movie, which I do not like that one. That is horribly paced. There's some fun action in the third act with the train sequences and set pieces, but man, that movie did not need to be that long. And oh shit, that tone is consistent. It's like it's goofy, it's silly, and Johnny Depp is pulling crows or dead rats out of his pocket to give to a kid. But then here you have someone ripping out someone's heart and eating it. I'm like, but it's Disney. What the hell? What the, or I think it was Disney. Whatever. But yeah, James Gandolfini is the best part as this Hitman. Well, yeah, I guess he's called Hitman. I miss him. He's a great actor. I've seen episodes of Sopranos. He's wonderful in that. Whenever I saw him in something, he really gave it his all. And you really grow to like the guy. He becomes more personable to Julia Roberts. He's given some really good lines. I'm just here to regulate the funkiness of the situation. And as he starts bonding with Julia Roberts, you find out that he also happens to be gay. He also happens to be gay. So there you go, for folks out there, even movies back then could be progressive, but they don't beat you over the head and make it a lecture. It's just this, it's just part of the character, and it's not like what you think I'm just gonna go into some beauty parlor job. No, 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 no. And it just with the way James Gandolfini kind of bonds with Julie Roberts, becomes friends with her. He finds a little bit of love because they pick up a guy at a diner, and of course, Julie Roberts like excited because they're becoming friends, and sees like this possible blooming romance between these two. And then they're like partying in Vegas the safety dance, to the safety dance. And you get the idea that James Gandolfini has found love when he hasn't found love before. Again, he's the most interesting character. I would say he's the one given the most of an arc. It's just sad that I think they could have done a lot more with the character in the third act, and that would have made it even more interesting. At least to me. Brad Pitt is fine, but again, he's playing kind of that affable, clueless, in over his head. But I thought he does that fairly well. There's a bit where he gets arrested. There's a bit where he's talking to J.K. Simmons. Which, I mean, wow, J.K. Simmons in this. And he's got, like, a head of hair. Because I'm always so used to... Well, I guess he had it in Spider-Man as J. Jonah Jameson. But, different type of hair. But I think nowadays you see J.K. Simmons, you're just used to him being bald. It was great to see him there. They have some nice rapport with each other. I do like that he talks to J.K. Simmons and he says the joke, you sound like fucking Schultz from Odysee Heroes. I know nothing. I know nothing. Oh, shut up. Tell Brad Pitt to shut up. And their paths ultimately diverge where Brad Pitt realizes that J.K. Simmons is going to turn on him and gets out of there with the pistol. Spoilers, it didn't more into spoilers. In Vegas, that hitman that James Gandolfini had shot wasn't really dead, came back, shot whoever was in the hotel room, which was the guy James Gandolfini liked. Gandolfini gets to drop on him, shoots him. I do like the line he says where I don't know why Julie Roberts is telling him not to kill him. I'm like, he was going to kill you. He killed this innocent guy who didn't know what was going on. And Gandolfini has a gun on him and say, What do you think? You think I should listen to her? Huh? Huh? You wanna know what I think? I think Kevlar's for pussies. And shoots the eye. Now, it's not a violent, gory movie. You don't see it, but you hear it. I do like that line. Kevlar's for pussies. I think James Gandolfini, God, he's greatly missed. Such a wonderful, talented actor. You wish he would have been over. You wish he would have overcome his demons, gotten his shit together. Should have been a much bigger performer in movies. Like I said, when he was even what was it? Terminal Velocity. I'm on Taking a Pill 1, 2, 3. They're smaller roles, but it was still great to see him in those. So those two leave and they head to Mexico. Brad Pitt has the pistol. They get together. They're all three in the car. And then Julie Roberts and Brad Pitt start arguing, and Brad's like, one more word and I'll crash his car. She does it. He crashes the car. Gandolfini's confused. What the hell are you doing? And that's what I'm talking about with the arc and the spoilers that I appreciated. He's able to have the opportunity to shoot Brad Pitt. Like, they're changing the tire. He's got the gun on Brad Pitt, but he looks up. He sees Julia Roberts. He puts the gun away. He's like, yeah, well, you're not changing the tire right. Then Brad Pitt gets the gun. He didn't know what just happened, but he puts the gun on Gandolfini, shoots him. But he goes, listen, he says his name is this. I know that's not him. I've seen that guy. Listen to... And Julie Roberts is mad and pissed. Why'd you do that? He's my friend. That wasn't his name. I've met the guy. The guy I met was black back in the day. He lied to you. And then lo and behold, checked his ID. It's a different name. Now, I wish maybe there was some final words from Gandolfini, or that maybe Gandolfini does turn a new leaf because of his experience with Julia Roberts and this almost love, and that if he's able to almost love that time, he could love again. But also, I guess it fits with the tragic part of it, where the the one time Gandolfini does the right thing or does a nice thing, it costs him his life. Because he could kill Brad Pitt, and then he would have been alive, but no, he lets him live. Brad Pitt didn't know he did that, but you can't blame Brad Pitt's character because, understandably, he's assuming this guy's going to kill him. And in his mind, it was going to kill him, which is justifiable. That to think that way, like you said, you're this guy, you're not. You've been hired to kill me. Technically, he was. He didn't know that Julia Roberts helped change his mind a bit, but there's no way for him to know that. So it does have a little bit of a tragic element, the Gandolfini's character. So you do have that. But like I said, that's the most interesting part of the movie for me. Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts as chemistry, they didn't have enough scenes together. Like, they have the bit at the beginning where they argue. Then at the end they argue. Like, when he's ready to crash the car. Then at one point, Brad Pitt gets kidnapped and brought to Gene Hackman. And Gene Hackman, Sally's only in like one scene in the movie just to tell the history of this gun. And when he was in jail, this guy who saved his life, it's very partial to him. That's why it's important for me to get this gun to where it belongs. I, it's great to see Gene Hackman. It's sad that he's only used for one scene. So, I mean, you get Gene Hackman. I guess it's better than nothing. Better than, he's one of my favorite actors, but he doesn't have a whole lot to do. Kind of surprised he took this part. I mean, I guess, hey, you know, 1 or 2 days to shoot, why not? Brad Pitt goes to get the gun. Bob Balaban, who was working with Gene Hackman, You realize he wants to turn on Gene Hammond. He wants it done for himself because it don't sell a lot. He's got Julia Roberts. Julia shoots the Bob Balaban. No one knows what happened, and then you get the reveal where there's a bullet in the guy's neck. Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts get back together. And Gore Verbinski does have some nice style to the direction. Like in this scene here, when she fires, it's in slow-mo, and you have this kind of ring pop out of the gun, the slow-mo of the bullet coming out. Like I said, there's some nice stylistic shots. There's some beautiful cinematography showcasing the Mexican landscape. Definitely has some flourish. Some money was definitely spent on the film. The flashbacks of the history of the gun. I forgot what film quality they shot it in, but it's a bit different, older quality. I don't know if it was meant to look like 16 millimeter or 35. I don't know, but like I said, it's hard to judge if there's chemistry between Julia and Brad because they weren't really together much. So it's kind of hard for me to buy the love they have for each other when most of the time they've just been arguing with each other. I mean, even the last scene in the movie is them in a couple, and then they start arguing. So you're sitting there going, I don't think these two should be together. They don't belong together. So it's kind of hard for me to root for them as a team when they're so away from each other for so long. Gene Hackman, I wish he was used a bit more. I don't think you needed all of the multiple flashbacks to the gun because there's like 3 times, and like I don't know if they're all like part. I guess supposed to be all part of the same story, but then there's like it seems like there's differences in them as well. Just like, oh, this guy is gonna get a gun for this person. This person tests it, but the bullet shoots and hits this guy in the head. But then there's his wedding, and I think they're all supposed to be part of the same story, but I know some people like those parts. To me, I didn't really give a rat's ass about the history of this gun. I know that's part of the point, because the way the last flashback ends is reminiscent to the showdown between Julia, Bob Balaban, and Brad Pitt. Is that same kind of experience almost repeating itself. But in the flashback, the lady dropped the gun. Here, Julia doesn't and shoots, which was the right call. But maybe just show that one flashback. I don't think you need to show the other two. And like I said, the stuff with Gandolfini and that was more interesting. The stuff in Mexico was okay. I do like the bit where at one point the gun gets stolen and then Brad Pitt gets it back and then he has this guy tied up. He said, well, I'm going to have to shoot you. No, 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 you don't. You don't have to shoot me. I learned my lesson. And what was he says? Well, listen, I don't have a rope. You don't have a rope? You don't have a rope, so you're going to shoot me? Listen, it'll be fine. I'll shoot you in the foot. No, you don't have to do that. So that argument was pretty funny. I'm trying to think what else. Like I said, I think other parts of the Mexican stuff could have been like. There's one point he gets arrested, put in jail, then almost quickly after gets out of jail, and then tossed to J.K. Simmons. You didn't need any of that. You didn't need the cop arresting him. Come back. I'm gonna keep the gun. Like that stuff that could have been cut out because it didn't really bring anything to it. It wasn't really that funny or exciting or memorable. Like I said, I kind of wish there was a bit more at the end of James Gandolfini's story. Then Gene happened being used a few more times, and then maybe like 15 minutes or so shortened. A little bit more of Julia and Brad together, but I know that's the point of it. So I mean, there's nitpicks I have here and there, but overall, I did like the cast. I did like the scenery. It has a quirky nature to it, which I'm sure is what appealed all these actors to take this project on in the first place. Because there's a bit of just the way the format of the script is doesn't seem typical, and there's some like quirky bits of humor, like the curse of the gun and how people get killed, like David Krumholtz, a stray bullet, and like all this other stuff. The score is decent, the musical score. Like I said, Gore Verbinski definitely showcased a bit of style, which he would showcase more in the Ring remake and even the first Pirates of the Caribbean. So overall, I didn't mind it. I did like the film for what it was. Did I love it? No, but did I like it? Did I have a decent enough time? I did. So I think if you like the cast, it's definitely worth at least one watch. Although maybe you're thinking a little bit long in the tooth, but overall, I liked it. So with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.